Hello there, you're watching Breaking Views on NDTV. I'm Maha Siddiqui. Crime and politics is often spoken about, but usually when election candidate lists are announced. Once elections are over, the perceived infamy also dies down. However, in the last few days, there have been startling revelations of criminals with close links to political parties involved in hate crimes. One of the killers of Udaipur had several pictures of him with BJP leaders and from the state. Now, the mastermind of the Amravati murder case's social media profile has thrown up pictures of him with the Amravati MP Navneet Rana's husband Ravi Rana. This brings us to the critical question of the background of those who fuel the fire and whether it's this background that makes them audacious enough to carry out these hate crimes with impunity. Let's first take a look at the series of cases that have come up which give us a clear sense of the links between some of these people who committed these acts of hate crimes which are equivalent to a terror crime, in fact, as we call it at the moment, considering that these are also being investigated by the NIA. First of all, Talib Hussain Shah. He was the Rajouri blast mastermind, and what do we have on him as far as his possible political links are concerned? Photos on social media suggest that Shah was with some of the BJP leaders. Those are the pictures that had emerged of him with minority cell leaders. Photos of Jammu and Kashmir BJP chief Rena with Shah were also thrown up, putting a question mark on whether or not this person had some sort of a political backing, and how then was he involved into the terror crimes that we are looking at over here. Shah, in fact, was assigned as IT and social media in charge of BJP's minority Morcha in the Jammu area. So all these clearly giving us a sense of the kind of inroads that many of these criminals or even terrorists have made into the various political parties. Now let's talk about the person accused in the Udaipur killing, Riaz Attari. Riaz Attari was called a dedicated worker of the BJP on his Facebook posts. In fact, photos of Attari with BJP's Rajasthan leader, a leader of opposition as well, Gulab Chand Kataria, were also seen, which in fact gave a handle to the other side, that is the Congress, to target the BJP. The BJP denied any association with him. However, there were several pictures that in fact were alluding to the fact that Attari had made some inroads into the BJP. Senior BJP Udaipur leader Ravinder Shrimali posed with Attari as well. So, series of pictures there that all came out. Now let's talk about the latest case, that of Sheikh Irfan, who's supposed to be the mastermind in the Amravati chemist murder case. Irfan had posted on Facebook his support for Navneet Rana. Navneet Rana is the MP from Amravati. In fact, more than that, we saw pictures and photos of independent MLA Ravi Rana with Irfan. Ravi Rana is the husband of Navneet Rana. Meanwhile, sources have pointed out that Irfan is close to the Rana couple, though the Ranas have denied any association with him. In an interview with NDTV, Navneet Rana has denied any links with Irfan, adding that he should be punished regardless of what party he belongs to.
अमरावती के केमिस्ट उमेश कोलेजी की हत्याकांड के बाद एक कई परतें खुलती जा रही हैं। कल पीएफआई का भी रोल सामने आया। इस वक्त यहाँ के जो सांसद हैं और यहाँ के विधायक दोनों हमारे साथ हैं। मैडम, अमरावती में इस तरह की चीजें हो रही हैं, एक के बाद एक, कई लोगों को धमकियां भी मिली, उसके बाद भी वो सामने आकर माफी मांग रहे हैं। अब पुलिस ने स्वतः संज्ञान लेकर सो मोटो एक्शन की बात पुलिस कह रही है।
मुझे लगता है पुलिस डिपार्टमेंट ने अगर ये सब चीजें पहले ही जब हुई थी, क्योंकि पूरे देश में जो चित्र दिख रहा था और पूरे देश में जो 2 महीने से वातावरण था, जो भाईचारे की हम बात करते हैं पूरे देश में, 2 समाजों में जो हेट्रेट निर्माण हुई थी, ये पूरे देश ने देखा है। और ऐसी घटना होने के बाद, और 2 अलग अलग विचारधाराओं के समाज के लोगों के बीच की ये घटना थी, ये तो क्लियर था। तो फिर इसे उसी वक्त उस मोड में क्यों नहीं इसकी जांच की गई? हमारा सबसे पहला प्रश्न ही वो था। हम इंटेलिजेंस को इतना इंपॉर्टेंस देते हैं कि हम न्याय की गुहार किसके पास लगाएंगे? डिपार्टमेंट के पास। और जब ये सब घटनाएं ऑन दी स्पॉट होती हैं और पूरे देश में वो चित्र निर्माण हुआ था, तो पहली हमारी जो जांच है वो इस दिशा में छोड़कर बाकी दिशाओं को क्यों इम्पोर्टेंस दिया गया?
कमिश्नर कह रही है कि 27 तारीख को उन्होंने डीजी ऑफिस को बता दिया, उसके बाद उन्होंने ही एनआईए को खबर की और तब एनआईए आई है यहाँ पर।
सर मैं जो कमिश्नर बोल रही है उस पे ना बोलते हुए मैं इतना जरूर बता सकती हूँ, जब हमने उनके परिजनों से बात की, हमने जब उनके रिलेटेड लोगों से बात की, किस बात पे ये सब चीज हुई, तब जाके हमने एनआईए को और होम मिनिस्टर जी को पत्र दिया। तब जाके जब वहाँ की केंद्र के एजेंसीज एक्टिव हुए और उसके साथ साथ जो मीडिया के लोग हैं नेशनली यानी स्टेट के, जब वो एक्टिव हुए तब जाके ये सब चीजें, और 12 दिन के बाद जाके वो खुद एक्सेप्ट करती हैं, यस ये नुपुर शर्मा और हिंदू विचारधारा रखने वाले व्यक्ति हैं, इसके लिए ये घटना हुई है। 12 दिन तक आपने ये चीजें क्यों लोगों के सामने नहीं लाई?
और आज मुझे लगता है कि महाविकास आघाड़ी की सरकार आने के बाद जिस तरह से एक विशिष्ट समाज को और वहां के कुछ क्रिमिनल लोगों को जो बढ़ावा मिल रहा था, जिस तरह से यहाँ की जो सीपी आरती सिंह, उसने दंगे कर रहे जब हुए उस टाइम पे आप देखो निर्दोष लोगों पे ऑफेंस दाखिल, जो लोगों का इन दंगों से संबंध नहीं था उन लोगों को लॉकअप में डाला, उन पे ऑफेंस दाखिल किए, सिर्फ महाविकास आघाड़ी के प्रेशर के कारण।
कांग्रेस कह रही है कि जो लड़के पकड़े गए, खास करके जो मास्टरमाइंड है, वो भी आप लोगों से जुड़े हुए हैं, आपके कार्यकर्ता के तौर पर काम किया, तो आप कभी जानते थे उनको?
देखो ऐसा है, मेरे कार्यकर्ता रहते थे या कोई भी रहते थे, मेरे को तो मैं तो कभी आज तक उनसे मिला भी नहीं, ना उनको पहचानता हूँ, ना कोई मेरे साथ उनका फोटो है, ना कोई किसी प्रकार का मेरा उनसे कोई संबंध है। पर मेरा बोलना है ये कोई भी पार्टी में ऐसे लोग होंगे तो उसका विरोध होना चाहिए। आज कांग्रेस ने विरोध क्यों नहीं किया? क्यों कोल्ले को समर्थन क्यों नहीं दिया? कोल्ले परिवार के पीछे क्यों खड़े नहीं रहे? क्यों आपने जब सीपी इनलीगल काम कर रही है, केस को दबा रही है, उसके खिलाफ जाके आपने डीजी को, गृह विभाग को, होम मिनिस्टर को क्यों कंप्लेंट नहीं दिया? जब आपके समर्थन से ये केस दबाई जा रही है, आपके समर्थन से उनको सपोर्ट किया जा रहा है, तो आप कोल्ले परिवार के पीछे कैसे खड़े रहेंगे?
Joining me now on the show, Dr. Ajay Kumar, a spokesperson of the Congress Party, Sujata Paul, political analyst supporting the Congress Party. We also have PKD Nambiar, political analyst supporting the BJP, and Alok Vats, leader of the BJP, as well as Professor Bhuvan Joshi Bhaskar, spokesperson of the Samajwadi Party. Let me first go across to Dr. Ajay Kumar. Sir, I want to understand from you, is there any vetting process at all that political parties do as far as who is getting attached to them, even as an ordinary worker, I would say?
Look, I don't think it's possible for any political party to do the vetting process. But the fact is that in this Udaipur case, or whether it's the Talib Hussain case, or whether it's Sheikh Irfan for that matter, the complicity of the Bharatiya Janata Party has come out pretty openly. Now, question is whether they've been seen with the links, and how is it that they're being seen in all the places? First question is, if there are two major terrorist incidents, the one in Jammu and Kashmir with the Laskar Toiba and one in Udaipur, why is it that it's only the BJP with the guys with their first? The other issue is, which I think which has been swept under the carpet, is the Devinder Singh case in which the guy was escorting the arms in Jammu and Kashmir, was arrested, dismissed, but nothing happened after that. So it's incredible, and my colleagues in the Bharatiya Janata Party and those who support that, irrespective of wherever you stand, the fact is that there was a Deputy Super of Police of Jammu and Kashmir escorting arms. He was caught and he's only dismissed. You don't get to the root cause of that case. And believe me, that's what scares me as an ex police officer. What scares me is that as long as I'm in the Bharatiya Janata Party, I have the bragging rights to say I'm a nationalist, etc., and I can do anything which is anti-national, and that's totally swept under the carpet. Because even the BJP, reasonable people in the BJP should be asking this question: what about the Devinder Singh case? What happened? How can hundreds of kilometers go undetected and people are DSP escorting arms for a terrorist organization, and nobody is asking the question?
All right, so let's pose those questions to the representative here on the panel. Alok Vats, would you want to answer those questions, because some serious questions have been raised? Of course, Ajay Kumar there said that it is impossible for a political party to do a vetting process for who's getting associated with them. But when these glaring cases are being thrown up, what is the party doing? What is your party doing?
Well, Siddiqui, the first question that is paining us, that why was the Amravati case hidden for so many days? Who was behind that? Udaipur case flared up immediately, but Amravati came much later. So who are the people who are trying to steal that? And secondly, the Congress is trying to accuse the BJP only because there was some photograph of that person, particular person. So he is associated with us and we are abetting his crime. It is not that. Being the world's largest political party, in many ceremonies, in many segregations, somebody gets to get a photograph and gets introduced by somebody. So that doesn't mean that we are abetting the crime or we are with them. It has nothing to do with us.
No, that's a fair point that you're making. That is what Ajay Kumar also said, that the political party can't go about verifying the antecedents of a person who gets associated with the party. But since these pictures...
Only on the basis of a photograph click.
But sir, the basis of a photograph here, what we are seeing in the case of Amravati also, and PKD Nambiar, I want to bring you in over here. What has been said by some people is that this person was a supporter of Navneet Rana and Ravi Rana. So today, had it been any ordinary common person, they would have been questioned by the police. In this case, because these people are politicians, do they get away with it without being questioned?
Navneet Rana just now categorically denied that he has ever met them.
There is a larger conspiracy.
Saw it on your television.
I'll come back to you, Alok. Let PKD Nambiar answer that question. Yes, go ahead, PKD Nambiar.
If we go one after another, the different cases on their merits, then we will be missing the larger point. The larger point for me is that there is a political jihad is taking place. There is a large amount of infiltration in political parties, like a sleeper cells are now active. The sooner the political parties do understand and work on it, irrespective of a political party, I think today we should be discussing the seriousness of this rather than thinking of from the point of view of one political party or the other one. If you really recall, in the last 4 or 5 years back, maybe Dr. Ajay Kumar being a Congress spokesperson would be knowing it, in the state of Kerala, this has been identified by the left Democratic Front and the left parties multiple times, that many PFI and SDPI workers, they have two colors. During the day, they will have one color. In the night, they have another color. So even in one of the SFI worker in Ernakulam Maharaja's College, which was a very famous, infamous killing of a young SFI activist. Then later on, which has clearly been got to know that it was by the SDPI workers. Now the same SDPI leaders and the PFI leaders are even now infiltrating in the DYFI and other places. But now with the series of these events, Udaipur, Amravati and Jammu and Kashmir and etc., now it is clear that political jihad and a large amount of sleeper cells are now taking a shed.
PKD Nambiar, even if we take your argument, as a relevant one over here, the fact remains that even if they have infiltrated into the political parties, it's a very serious scenario, as you're yourself pointing out. In that case, I'm saying, should different yardsticks be used for politicians and for the common man? Sujata Paul, I want to bring you in over here. What I was suggesting is that in case anybody else's pictures were found with a person who had these criminal antecedents, surely the police would at least ask questions of that person. For politicians, is the argument good enough that they meet a lot of people and they get themselves clicked with n number of people and therefore they can't be held responsible?
At the outset, I do agree that, you can't keep blaming everybody for pictures that are being taken. But if there are people who are members of your party, what do you do about that? What you do is, when misprint element disappears, then you start screaming and shouting. When Udaipur happens, you start blaming the government. When the government comes into swift action and arrests the two culprits, the two terrorists, then BJP goes on the back foot. After that, when their relations with BJP netas come to the fore, then they start screaming and shouting about some other terrorist activity, at some other place. We are talking about Amravati now. That the Maha Vikas Aghadi was in power, and that is why things were being hidden. things were being suppressed. But do you realize, Ma, what is happening is that it is the ruling party's relations with all these terrorists which are coming to the fore. They are the party in power. Has their intelligence failed? One. And secondly, I want to remind you of what happened years ago. The public today might have forgotten. But Nathuram Godse's two brothers always said that we three were members of the RSS. But when Nathuram Godse, who had a Muslim name, engraved, tattooed on his hand, and of course, some other things had also been done with him. But when he got caught, they said, no, he has nothing to do with us. Now, the point is that, they are saying that these people were never known to us. How come? How come?
Okay. Let PKD Nambiar respond. I think he wants to make a point.
It is the Home Minister, no less, with whom there is a photograph.
Okay.
If what I am saying is false, is it not true that this poses a huge threat to the country?
Yes, I think PKD Nambiar made that point, that it is a very serious issue, and if this kind of he believes it's an infiltration. I'll go across to PKD Nambiar, but I think Ajoy Kumar wants to make a point. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll make a short point because there are others. Look, Mr. Nambiar is saying political jihad and these guys are infiltrating, and please take strongest action. But in the BJP's case, the political jihadis have become mainstream. What kind of speeches they keep giving day in and day out, morning to evening, from Prime Minister down to every guy. Anybody who's got a mic on his throat, anybody who put a mic, no, one sec, let me finish. The amount of hatred all the time, every BJP leader. So if Nupur Sharma was French, she was your spokesperson. Your Jindal guy, the guy who spoke in. So the question is, and she's just a small issue. Your main leaders spread hate day in and day out. Whether it's on Facebook, whether it's on, and it's become standard. So my question
Alok Vats, I want Alok Vats to come in here. Alok Vats, would you want to respond?
This is a serious allegation he has leveled. The Prime Minister has never said anything to disturb the social fibre of the country. He has always advocated harmony and peace. And we have worked for all sections of the society. Whatever Jan Sevak deals have been made, it has gone and seeped down to each and every strata of the society. So please, Dr. Ajay, don't make such allegations without any base. You are trying to point fingers at the Prime Minister and also the Home Minister. They have never said anything to dispel disharmony in the society.
So, Alokji, if you don't mind, so tell me, when has the Prime Minister spoken against these violence and the Home Minister? When? Give me a date. When did anyone, one second, sir, I'll complete, sir, give me the courtesy. You tell me when all the lynching, all the killing, whether it's Kanhaiya, whether it's Akla, when has the Home Minister and the Prime Minister spoken on it? Give me one. No, one second, sir, Alok, sir, please give me the, I'm just asking a question. Bosnia's Independence Day, you will tweet. Across India, this is the first time in the history of the country when the national leaders are not requesting peace. I'm telling you as a concerned citizen, forget BJP and Congress. The fact is that hate has become a standard commodity in the Bharatiya Janata Party. You might keep denying it.
Can I just quickly rebut on that?
Yeah, go ahead, Mr. Nambiar, please.
All right, let Alok Vats respond, then I'll go to PKD Nambiar. Alok Vats, respond to this.
So the law has taken its course. So what has the Prime Minister and the Home Minister to say in it? The law is taking its course and every action is being taken. So why should they speak something on this? Every day something is happening all across the country. So you mean to say every time the Prime Minister and the Home Minister will make some statement? The law rapidly is taking its toll on whoever so is the culprit.
All right. PKD Nambiar wants to make a point. PKD Nambiar, go ahead, and then I'll go across to Professor Bhuvan Joshi. He's been patiently waiting. Go on, PKD Nambiar.
Absolutely. I agree with you. See, I think Ajoy ji is a former IPS officer or a former police officer. And just imagine if every thing which take place in this country, whether it is a small law and order or a big law and order, if everything has to be addressed by the Prime Minister and the Home Minister of this country, then we don't require Chief Ministers and the State Home Ministers and State Polices. I think the larger point which we are missing in this debate today, and it's a very, very serious debate, and we are just getting into micro issues of one or two, and this is a very normal tactics of the Congress. The larger issue is that in every political party there are infiltration taking place, and these sleeper cells are going to be very dangerous for all of us. irrespective of the political party. Today you may have found it in only in two political parties, that is CPIM and in the BJP. Tomorrow it might happen in Congress. It may be already active. You never know. So I think what we need to discuss today is that these infiltrators are terrorists. They are sleeper cells, and they are already in the action, and they have two different colors. During the day one color, and in the evening another color.
Nambiar, let me now go across to Professor Bhuvan Joshi. You've spoken about terrorists, that's what you're saying, are trying to infiltrate political parties. But as far as the Samajwadi Party is concerned, Professor Bhuvan Joshi, there have been allegations against the party for having criminals or giving tickets to criminals to fight elections. Do you think that at the inception, when you know what the person's antecedents are, such people should be denied tickets in the first place?
देखिए सर्वप्रथम मैं एनडीटीवी को बधाई देना चाहता हूँ इस स्वस्थ बहस को चलाने के लिए। बहुत ही गंभीर मुद्दा है, और सबसे पहले मैं कहना चाहता हूँ जो नफरत की राजनीति है वो नफरत के क्राइम को जन्म देती है। और आप देख पा रहे हैं कि नफरत की जो राजनीति है वो किसको पूरे देश में सूट करती है, तो निश्चित तौर पे भारतीय जनता पार्टी को सूट करती है। ये इनकी फेवरेट पिच है। मैं कहना चाहता हूं आपके चैनल के माध्यम से, नुपुर शर्मा ने देश के उन्माद से खेला, जिसकी हत्या हुई वो भी भारतीय जनता पार्टी का कार्यकर्ता, जिससे इसके द्वारा हत्या
बोला, उसके लिए उसके ऊपर आपका क्या टिप्पणी है? महुआ मोइत्रा ने जो बोला उसके ऊपर भी टिप्पणी कर दीजिए। आपको नुपुर शर्मा की बात तो बुरा लगी, बात लिया। आप महुआ मोइत्रा ने जो कल बोला काली माता के ऊपर, उसके ऊपर भी टिप्पणी सुना दीजिए। आप एक साइड देखते हो, दोनों तरफ क्यों नहीं देखते हो? आपको
let him finish, I'll give you time. PKD Nambiar, let him finish, I'll give you time. प्रोफेसर भुवन जोशी, आप बोलिए।
जितने पैनलिस्ट है मैंने सबको धैर्य से सुना, इसलिए मैं चाहूंगा कि सारे पैनलिस्ट मुझे भी अपना मौका दे। हम विपक्ष की प्रमुख पार्टी उत्तर प्रदेश की। मैं कहना चाहता हूँ नुपुर शर्मा जी के माहौल खराब हुआ, हत्या जिसकी वो भारतीय जनता पार्टी, जिसके तार जोड़े गए हत्या के वो भारतीय जनता पार्टी का कार्यकर्ता निकल रहा है। ये लगा लीजिए अमरावती से लेकर पूरे उत्तर प्रदेश से लेकर राजस्थान तक जिनके तार जुड़े हुए हैं, निश्चित तौर पे भारतीय जनता पार्टी के जो छदम राष्ट्रवाद है इसकी पोल खुल रही है। यही इनकी दिक्कत का विषय है। और मैं कहना चाहता हूँ आपके चैनल,
लेकिन प्रोफेसर जोशी आपने मेरे सवाल का जवाब नहीं दिया। मैंने आपसे सवाल पूछा कि इस केस में एक पार्टी के तार जुड़ रहे हैं, लेकिन समाजवादी पार्टी पे अक्सर ये इल्जाम लगाया जाता है कि वो ऐसे लोगों को टिकट देती है जिनके क्रिमिनल बैकग्राउंड्स रहे हैं। इसीलिए मैं पूछ रही हूँ, क्या ये इंसेप्शन पे ही रोकना चाहिए?
आई गॉट योर पॉइंट, लेकिन जो सब्जेक्ट था उस पर भी जवाब देना जरूरी था। अब मैं आपकी बात का जवाब देना चाहता हूँ। राष्ट्रीय अध्यक्ष माननीय अखिलेश यादव जी ने जब से राष्ट्रीय अध्यक्ष का दायित्व संभाला है, उन्होंने साफ निर्देश दिया है केवल शिक्षित युवा और जो जिन पे पॉलिटिकल कार्रवाई हुई है उनको छोड़ के किसी को टिकट देने का काम हमने नहीं करा। ये निश्चित तौर पे समाजवादी की नई पार्टी का एक नया युग है, और उसमें एक तय है, केवल हमारे नेता माननीय अखिलेश यादव जी केवल विकास के मॉडल के लिए, उत्तर प्रदेश के विकास के लिए उसकी लड़ाई को लड़ने का काम करता है।
ठीक है नाम्बियार, since you wanted to make a point and I want to come back to you, since you are making this big allegation here, or this revelation, I don't know how to really put it, because the police hasn't said, or the investigating agencies have so far not said anything about the possibility of terrorists infiltrating political parties. But if that's what you're suggesting, PKD Nambiar, it's a very serious situation. Then what is the way out? How do the political parties look at the situation?
That's what precisely. And I wanted to just take you back. This is nothing new in this Indian political scenario. If you really look at the history of Indian politics, even during the Congress time before the 1947, how the communist parties and the Naxalbari movement was also in the same fashion, that infiltrating in the mainstream political parties and making more of like creating shadow committees, and then finally either breaking it or taking control of the political party. This is nothing new.
Okay.
This has done even
Ajay Kumar wants to come in. We have the last 1 minute, so I can give you 30 seconds, sir, and 30 seconds to Sujata Paul.
Maha, the issue is, Mr. Nambiar, if anybody in this country is saying that the hate barometer has not increased from the time BJP is doing it, I'm saying take action against PFI, absolutely. Take action, strongest action. Rajasthan police did a good thing by arresting that Ajmer Sharif, one of the priests, one of the Maulanas of Ajmer Sharif. Good job. But in the history of India, where we have the national party in governance promoting hate, and you might keep denying it, please go to any Facebook post. Look at what they write. Look at the videos which are
all
going.
right.
And
Sujata Paul wants to make a point. Sir, I have the last 10 seconds left. Sujata Paul, make your point.
Yes, two things. One says never said anything. The second says why should he speak on everything? So the Prime Minister is only going to speak about it during election rallies and polarize the people. Now the Prime Minister had said demonetization se आतंकवाद की कमर टूट जाएगी, infiltration खत्म हो जाएगा, blah blah blah. अब क्या हुआ भाई? आपकी तो इंटेलिजेंस फेल हो गई. So the Home Minister must resign.
All right, we will have to leave it at that. We'll have to leave it at that. I'm afraid I don't even have time now left to give space to Alok Vats to respond to that, because Sujata Paul made a point there. Alok Vats, just 5 seconds if possible.
कोई दंगे नहीं, no danga is taking place in India now. Everything is under control. And some strange incidents in Jammu and Kashmir.
There would be
Don't say that.
No terrorist
All right,
activity.
all right, we'll leave it at that.
Now.
We'll leave it at that. Many thanks to all 5 of our panelists for joining us here on this discussion this evening. With that, we're taking a very quick break. We'll be back with a lot more. Stay with us.